issue 7 of To Do Our Powerbomb.
God, they're so small compared to everybody else.
Yes. To close out our story here as we get ready for Lona and Cobra Sun to fight God. And this will probably be the issue that I get emotional and probably sob. So bear with me there.
Because you're on God's side? Is that what it is, or what?
It's really sweet when we get there. You'll see.
Sure. Okay.
So the crowd is all chanting for God, obviously, because it's God.
Sure.
He's the best wrestler of all time. Why would you not cheer for the best?
Okay.
Why are you shaking?
I don't know. It's so weird to say that.
No,
yeah.
I love it. So as Necron's then giving the introduction, because he's like, ladies and gentlemen, lords and spirits from across time and space, welcome to the fight of the century, a 2-on-1 handicap match for the ages. I'm assuming this is how it sounds like.
So a handicap match is 1 versus 2?
Yes, or
Okay.
3.
Yeah. I got you.
He goes, first in the red corner, the drowner of worlds, the beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega, God.
You say the beginning and the end, and then you say alpha and omega. Aren't you saying the same thing?
Yeah, but it's flashier. Like,
Okay.
that's how they do in wrestling, too.
Yeah,
They say the same thing.
Sure.
I liked it.
Okay.
And then he goes, in the blue corner, the winners of my very own Death Life tournament, the unbreakable duo, the serpent and the flower. And he like kind of turns back to me. He's like, I kind of hope you'll give me more liberties, my friend, because it would be a crime not to. And then about that time, like there's like things start like, I don't know how to describe it, like sparkles, or that's not sparkles, but like stuff is moving around Cobra Sun and Yua. And Necron has given them flashy new costumes as he's like, sun and steel.
Oh, yeah. Look at them go.
Looks cool. They look like an actual tag team now.
And I do like when I see God's mask up close, I do like the fact that it looks very like Roman or Greek mythology type. Yeah.
And he goes, all right, which one of you will want to go first? And Lona kind of turns and looks at her
Who
dad.
the hell wants to go first?
Turns and looks at her dad and goes, Dad, do you want to? But when she says that, her dad sees her mom and sees Yua and goes, honey, I wouldn't take this honor away from you. Like, go ahead. Lona finds out pretty quick that obviously wrestling God is
a little tough.
As he just manhandles her around for a bit.
The handicap is not what you thought it was.
Yeah. I think there's or since it's handicap, I think they can go both at him at the same time.
Okay.
So like Cobra Sun comes in to try to break it up. And I love how when God talks, he's like, fret not, child. It will be over soon. Like, it's just very like.
Very biblical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like he kind of is beating up on Lona a bit. He's doing the same to Cobra Sun here. But Lona goes and actually, as he's going to pin, Cobra Sun breaks up the pin and goes to check on him and like, Dad, are you okay? And he's like, look out. And he ends up getting a crucifix bomb out. He's impressed by her, but he ends up getting a crucifix bomb. Which is actually the name of a real wrestling move.
Okay.
So that's what's kind of cool too, is he's interworking actual wrestling moves and all this. And slams her down. But then Cobra Sun and Lona finally get a little break where they get the upper hand and they decide it's time. We're going to go for our finisher. We didn't get to do it last match. It got broken up. But now I'm your dad and, you're my dad. Like, we have this bond that's even deeper now.
Right, sure.
Let's go for it. And so they do go. And I love this panel here, Mike. They do go for the Still Sunrise. And I just love the art on that there. Of the sword there across and
Yeah, it's really well done. That's some beautiful art.
And they go for the pin.
I like the kick out. That's
they
nice
go for
too.
the pin. One kick out.
Yeah.
Because you're wrestling God.
Yeah.
I do love the color is fantastic. We talked about it too. The art's great. The color's great. The letter, all of it's just, the whole work is great. Read it. Read the whole damn thing. It's worth it. And so.
It feels very, what's that one with, Michael Cera?
Scott Pilgrim versus
the World. It feels very Scott Pilgrim.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time. So of course I love Scott
Pilgrim. Yeah.
God kicks out, and he's working on getting up, and we're gonna have another moment. It's another great kind of just like wrestling. They're like, "What? That's all we had, and it just got a 1." But then Necron, because Necron is your announcer for this,
right?
And he's like, "Wait a minute," and you hear like and he's like, "What is that?" it can't be. And you see a drop of blood.
Oh, God is bleeding.
Drip down from out of his mask and hit the mat with just a drip above that. And he's like, is that, oh, they've done it. They've made God bleed. Like in very like wrestling, like promoter kind of way. And then.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
God suffers no fools. And he turns on him pretty quick. Not like in a, but
Pillars of Golgotha
is his finishing move, and he delivers it pretty swiftly.
And it destroys the freaking ring.
It destroys the ring, and it's 1, 2, 3. They're done.
Of course they are.
After they're done,
win this.
No, after they're done with the match, it's over, and they're like, ladies and gentlemen, or ladies and lords, your winner, God.
Yeah.
But as they're going to like walk away, defeated, God says, son and still, like, it has really been many ages since any human has caused me physical pain. Like, you fought me with all the strength you had, and I present you the God belts as a symbol, not of your victory, but of your ability to go toe-to-toe with me.
Oh, wow.
And they both look at him, and Lona looks up at him and tosses it down on the ground and goes, I want my mom.
Yeah. That's the reason she signed up for the whole damn thing. Yeah.
And God goes over to her and goes, well, like, I can't, like, there's rules to things. Like, I can't just bring people back. But I can do something for you. Like, I do. He's like, I do feel for your pain and, like, for your struggle. So let me instead of bringing somebody back, let me unlock a memory for you instead. Oh. And she's like, what? And he puts his hand on her head. And we get a flashback. Do you remember the very first episode, Mike? Or the very first issue where she's laying in bed where we find her out before she dies, where she's like, where do we go where we die?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we get again. And it's so she's telling her, like, where do we go when we die? And it gives the whole first part of the speech over again.
Yeah,
like, I don't know, but I know I'm not going anywhere for a long, long time. And that's where it ended in the first one.
Right.
Well, in this one, it picks up because, like, the door shuts and she opens it back up and she goes, actually, Lona, like, I don't know if it's going to be someplace, like, warm.
Yeah.
If it's going to be someplace hot.
Right.
If, like, what? Like, I don't know what any of this is going to be.
Sure.
She goes, honestly, I think it might be a lot like wrestling, where she goes, people don't understand it sometimes, of where it's all predetermined.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how could you get fun out of knowing how things were going to end?
Right.
She goes, but honestly, like, we all know how it's going to end for us. Like, we all know death is there.
Sure.
So her argument is, she goes, maybe it's like wrestling, and it's not about the end. It's the story in between there.
Makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's what she's telling her there.
Yeah.
And so she goes, I guess that's what I'm saying is, I don't think it's about the end, Lona. It's about the story, and everyone's story is worth telling.
Yeah.
And no matter how it starts, no matter how it ends. And so Lona, a very young Lona, is sitting there in bed, and she goes, but when does the end happen? All right, but when the end does happen, she goes, will you be watching me? Like, even after you're gone?
Yeah.
And you see God, you
see
God pull his hand back,
Uh-huh.
and you see her and Cobra's son in the ring hug.
And there she is, watching.
And that's where it ends.
The rest of those people are idiots.
Well, I think that a lot of these people, like, it's supposed to be like people who might be like dead, and I can't.
Well, I bet it's probably people that worked on the freaking comic, to be honest with you.
That's true too.
Yeah.
But
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's just, you see, like,
that's cool though.
You see a woman watching from like from the stands.
She just says,
and it just says, "That's my girl."
Yeah. That's very cool.
And then you see a more full out one, and that is do a power.
I like how at the very end of this thing. I left. So at the very, I was going to try to point to it, but that's okay.
Oh wait,
hold on. No, you're fine. At the end of it,
there we go.
Yeah, I can't really do it anyway. I mean, I'd have to like, there you go. I just imagine me pointing to nothing. She's highlighted, but she's not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like the designer in me, which is a very small little man, would make everything black and white.
Like you had them in your pocket? That's kind of weird.
Would make everything black and white and her in color and stuff. But this is like they've turned up the the brightness on her
Yeah.
and turned it down
And
on
it's
everybody
kind of like a
else, which is
spotlight
very
in a way.
cool.
It's faded and
Yeah,
muted around.
It's
Yeah,
very cool.
no.
Yeah, very well done.
So there you go. That is our story for Do a
That's a
Powerbomb.
good series.
I really enjoyed it.
Very
Even
good
the
series.
Fun, it was fun in the best ways.
Pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about pros and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.